Core philosophy: accountability and transparency are the bedrock of high-performing, ethical cultures. They are not interchangeable but are inextricably linked. Transparency is the practice of operating with openness and clarity, which in turn makes true accountability possible. Together, they forge the trust, resilience, and learning capacity necessary for sustained excellence. 1. The anatomy of accountability: owning your role. Accountability is the personal and professional commitment to answer for one's actions and their resulting outcomes. It moves beyond passive responsibility to active ownership, proactive ownership. This is the default mindset. Individuals don't wait to be assigned blame or credit. They proactively claim their role in both successes and failures. It's the voice that says, "I was responsible for that component and I own its outcome." Constructive response to failure: mistakes are treated as data for improvement, not opportunities for blame. Acknowledging errors is done swiftly, without excuse, and with a focus on a post-mortem analysis that strengthens the system, not on shaming the individual. Clear answerability: being prepared to articulate the what, why, and how behind your decisions and performance to all relevant stakeholders. This isn't a defensive posture, but a confident readiness to engage in a dialogue about performance and results. Dedicated follow-through: accountability is incomplete without remediation. It requires a tangible commitment to correcting errors, repairing any damage done, and most importantly, implementing changes to prevent the issue from recurring. 2. The practice of transparency: operating in the light. Transparency is the deliberate act of making information, motives, and processes visible and understandable. It is the antidote to suspicion, politics, and misinformation. Default to openness: relevant information, data, decision criteria, project statuses, and meeting notes is made accessible by default, not by request. The guiding principle is to share unless there is a specific, compelling reason not to, like privacy or security. Communicate the why. Beyond sharing what is happening, transparency means explaining why it is happening. This clarity of intent builds buy-in, helps people connect their work to the larger mission, and empowers them to make better, more autonomous decisions. Unvarnished reporting: presenting information honestly and in a timely manner, especially when it's unfavorable. This means resisting the urge to spin data, bury bad news, or use jargon to obscure reality. Trust is built when people know they are getting the straight story. Psychological safety for dissent: the ultimate test of transparency. This involves creating explicit, protected channels for employees to report unethical behavior or raise difficult questions without any fear of personal or professional retaliation. It signals that the organization values its integrity above its comfort. 3. The synthesis: owning collective outcomes. When a culture of accountability and transparency matures, the focus shifts from individual actions to the collective results they produce. From activity to impact, the organization becomes less concerned with who was busy and more focused on what was achieved. Success is measured by the actual impact on customers, the mission, and the bottom line. Systemic learning, not individual blame. When outcomes are poor, the focus is on the system. What in our process, structure, or culture allowed this to happen? This approach transforms failures from a source of shame into invaluable, system-wide learning opportunities, directly dismantling the blame game. Shared responsibility: successes and failures are owned collectively. Teams celebrate wins together and rally to solve problems together, understanding that outcomes are the product of an interconnected system, not just one person's heroics or mistakes. The cultural covenant: I own my choices and expect the same from others. This phrase is the embodiment of this entire framework, distilled into a personal and collective promise. I own my choices is the personal vow of accountability. It is a declaration of individual integrity, maturity, and a commitment to being a reliable, responsible member of the team. And expect the same from others is the collective standard of transparency and fairness. It establishes mutual respect and psychological safety. It states that accountability is a universal expectation applied fairly to everyone, creating a level playing field where trust can flourish. The organizational payoff: Why this matters? Embedding these principles is not just an ethical exercise. It is a strategic imperative that delivers tangible results. Trust and culture. Transparency demystifies leadership and builds trust, while accountability proves that the organization is fair and reliable. This combination is the core of a healthy, empowering culture. Performance and innovation. Open access to information and clear goals lead to smarter, faster decisions. When failure is treated as a learning event, it fuels the experimentation and risk-taking necessary for innovation. Resilience and reputation. Problems are identified and addressed early, preventing them from escalating into crises. This internal resilience translates into a powerful external reputation as an organization of high integrity, attracting top talent, loyal customers, and committed partners. Conclusion: a virtuous cycle. Accountability and transparency are not a destination but a continuous practice. Acting openly, transparency, creates the conditions for individuals to own their roles, accountability. This ownership of both successes and failures leads to a focus on collective outcomes, which builds unshakable trust. This trust, in turn, empowers people to be even more transparent and accountable, creating a virtuous cycle of continuous improvement and outstanding performance.